Hello and welcome to JRR Armory Long Range Shooting Series. In part 4, we are gonna do a battle of the long range tactical scopes. The criteria we selected for this battle 2016 editions are as follows. The scopes have at least a 10 times optical zoom, they have a 30mm tube, and they have a mil-mil either tactical or mil-dot reticle with 0.1 milliradian adjustments for windage and elevation. We also selected a cutoff for the street price of roughly $1,500, and we are gonna focus in the $500 to $1,500 range. There are also many other choices below $500, but for this exercise we decided to go more towards the mid-range price category. The brands that made it are US Optics, IOR Valdada or IOR Bucharest, Leupold, Nightforce, Vortex, Sig Sauer, Weaver, Bushnell and SWFA. There are also probably some other brands that are offering very good products. However, for either reasons of availability or price or specs or features, they didn't make it into our review today. So we selected for today 20 different scopes, and they are now grouped in different categories. So we have, starting in the beginning, in the 3 to 18 category, and roughly $1,500 scopes in second focal plane. We have an IOR 4x14x50, a Sig Sauer Tango 6 3 to 18x44, and the Nightforce NXS 3.5 to 15x50. The Nightforce NXS barely made it into this category. It's usually above $1,500 street price, but we wanted to have at least 2 Nightforce options, so we let it slide into this category. The next 3 options are in the same 3 to 18, but in the first focal plane. We have a Leupold Mark 4 ERT 4.5 to 14x50, the newly released Nightforce SHV 4 to 14x50 f1, and then another Sig Sauer Tango 6 3 to 18x44. In the third category, we have now in the $1,000 range a Bushnell ETH 4.5 to 18x44, a Sig Sauer Tango 4 4 to 16x44, and a Vortex Viper PST 4 to 16x50. The next category, still in the 3 to 18 power range roughly, and around $750 street price, we have now a Sig Sauer Tango 4 3 to 12x42, a Weaver Tactical 3 to 15x50, SWFA SS 3 to 15x42, and the next 2 Vortex options, Viper PST 2.5 to 10, one in second focal plane and one in first focal plane. In the fixed 10 category, we have 3 choices, roughly in the $500 or less than $500 price, $1,000 and $1,500. The most expensive is the US Optics Straight 10x37. The next choice is an IOR Valdada 10x56. And rounding up this category is the SWFA 10x42. We also have in the last category, in the power range of 6 to 24, 3 choices. We included a Vortex Viper PST 6 to 24x50, a Leupold Mark 4 ERT 6.5 to 20x50, and then a Bushnell ERS 6 to 24x50. As you can see, we have a wide variety of prices and brands and different types of scopes. So we decided to compare and contrast them, while I will leave it up to you if you are looking for a straight power scope or a second focal plane or a first focal plane. I think you'll find something in this lineup that it's gonna be applicable for your application. Again, these are tactical scopes. They have mil-mil reticles and turrets, so they are probably not your average hunting scope 3 to 9 with a crosshair reticle and with a 1-inch tube. These are all 30mm tube. If we look at the physical characteristics in the first category, we can see we start with the objective size, the length in inches. And in order to compare them and be fair, I created a formula. Basically, I compared the length to the zoom level the scope offers, and this way, basically, a scope that offers more magnification, it will also be longer. So if we sort in descending over by this field, you can see that SWFA, although it offers only a 10 times magnification, fixed 10, it's a fairly long scope at 14 inches. While at the same time, if we go towards the end, if you look at the Bushnell, for example, the 6-24 by 50, it's only 13.5 inches long. So you can see how a higher magnification scope provides less length than a lower magnification scope. So if you care about the length of the scope, they are now sorted in the order in descending order based on the length. The next physical characteristic is weight. But again, weight is also an indicator of or a function of magnification. So you can see in this column I created a formula where I look at the weight above 18 ounces and see how much zoom above 10x the scope gives us. If we now sort this in descending order, you can see that the IORs, Nightforce, US Optics, and some of the Sig Sauer Tango 6 are heavy for the respective magnification. And on the other end, we have the Vortex at the bottom, SWFA, and even some Leupolds that are fairly light. So if you are looking for a lighter scope, Leupold, Vortex, SWFA are the ones to look at. If you are looking for a higher weight, IORs, Nightforce, and US Optics. In general, weight goes hand in hand with durability, but sometimes weight is just weight. So you have to consider carefully if the weight you are getting on the scope has the respective attributes that come with it, and it's not just heavy weight. If we sort just by pure weight, our list of scopes, you can see at the top exceeding 30 ounces, the Sig Sauer Tango 6 and Nightforces, these are the heaviest on the list. And then at the bottom, the Leupolds, Vortex, and SWFAs are around 20 ounces. The next physical attribute we are going to look at, it's the magnification power and the zoom ratio. If we sort our scopes in ascending order of the low power, the lowest one are the 2.5 by 10 from Vortex. Then we have a whole group of 3 to 4 power at the lower end. And then we round up with the 10 straight scopes, with the fixed scopes at the bottom. One element that we need to consider is the exit pupil, which is dividing the objective length by the magnification. And this tells us how big the image is in the plane where the eyes perceives it. So in general, something above 5 is very good. Around 4 to 5 is okay, and below 4 is getting kind of small. So in order to compare all these different scopes, I ranked them also based on the 10 power. They all have a 10 power feature. So if we now sort them by the exit pupil 10 power, we see that the IORs with the 56mm objective rank at the top. And then we have about half of them with the 5, another half with the 4.4, 4.2 millimeters, and then at the bottom with the lowest one we have the Viper PST with the 32mm objective and the US Optics. So this gives you a fair comparison regarding the exit pupil. And the other attribute that we need to consider is the field of view. I have shown here the field of view at low power, mid power, and high power. So let's go back to the low power and go descending by field of view. Usually higher is better. Of course, the 2.5 low power have the highest field of view, but you can also see that some of the scopes offer a great field of view for example, a 3 or 4 power. The one that stands out is the IOR 4x14 that has a 39 feet field of view at 100 yards for the 4 power, while the other ones offer less field of view at even a lower magnification. So in green are the ones that stand out as having a very good field of view at low magnification. Another one that stands out, again, it's the IOR at 10 power. So now we kind of normalized around 10 power, and you can see that the IORs, both of them are 15 and 16 feet, while for 100 yards. While the next ones are SWFA and US optics, with pretty much everyone else rounding up at 11 or 10 feet at 100 yards field of view. Field of view may be important to you if you are shooting moving targets, or if you have targets appearing in unexpected positions. So if you care about field of view, the IORs, SWFA and US optics are offering a great field of view of 10 power in this configuration. If we switch over to the high power and we sort them now by high power, you see we have the 24X, the Vortex and the Bushnell. We have a Leupold Mark 4 at 20X, and then the other ones are between 14, 15 and 16 with the fixed 10 at the bottom. So this is something for you to consider if you need that much power. You see what are the choices, and I have to say that each and every one of the scopes on this list are very good scopes. So there is no scope that's questionable, that has possibly not good tracking, or that doesn't have a glass quality that would be sufficient for most uses. Of course, some of them have better glass than others, but in general, any scope of this list, it's a good scope, so there are no lemons, so to speak, in here. Another aspect is the zoom ratio. If we sort now by the zoom ratio, you see we have the newly released Tango 6 scopes from Sig Sauer that are 6 times, so they offer great versatility from 3 to 18. The next versatility, high versatility, it's the SWFA and the Weaver 3 to 15s with a 5 times zoom ratio, and then most of the others are between 3 and 4 times with the straight scopes at the bottom. If you look at the Leupold Mark 4s, they are about 3 to 3.1, and actually we have to give Leupold some credit because they actually confess their 4.5 is actually 4.9, and their 14 power is actually 14.6 if you read the specs. So the 4.5 to 14, it's actually a 4.9 to 14.6 scope. So kudos for being honest with what they offer. And the zoom ratio for them is at 3 times. Let's go back to our starting grid, where you have them by type and by price. And you can then spend a second and see where your favorite scope ranks. I have to say, if I mark something in red, this is because this value is significantly less than the comparable scopes in this list of 20. If something is marked green, it's because it offers a significant better value than the scopes on this list. It doesn't mean in itself that it's good or bad, it's all relative, it's always about trade-offs, but out of these 20 scopes, the reds and the greens are offering lower capability, respectively higher capability. Also, the yellows are something to keep an eye on, but is neither green nor red. But if this is, for example, the exit pupil, something you care a lot about, then 4.4, it's in the mid-range category and it's below the 5. So next we are gonna look at the eye focus piece, what type of eye focus these scopes offer. Majority of them offer the fast focus, which is more of the European style, with a few differences. The Leupolds are offering a locking feature for the fast focus piece, So there is an extra ring that you can tighten against the eyepiece once you set it up for your eye and for your reticle. In fairness, this is only a half locking because you can always still spin the fast focus the other way, so it's not a fully locked. And then the other different one is the Nightforce, the NXS, where the eye focus is a big piece that rotates completely, so it's about 1 or 2 inches. The end of the scope rotates. So if you have a scope cover or a flip cover and you keep moving that, it's going to keep moving around. Some people like it, some people don't. I prefer the regular fast focus eyepieces. Eye relief, it's also something we need to keep an eye on for a couple of reasons. One, the eye relief is going to make it more comfortable and faster acquisition of the reticle and the target if it's done properly. Also, if you want to put a scope on a magnum caliber, the eye relief you need a bit more if you want to be safely away from higher recoil. So in general, you might want to keep the low eye relief scopes on milder cartridges and leave the high eye relief for the magnum cartridges. Majority of the scopes on that list are around 4 inches. On the low side, some are in the 3s, and then the eye relief usually gets lower at the high magnification. So you see, for example, the Leupolds are going all the way down to 3.6 coming from 4.4, while other claims that are staying on average the same. This is something you have to try with your own eyes and see if you like the eye relief, if you like the eye box, so to speak, and how comfortable and fast you can acquire the reticle and the target. The next category are the reticle types. If we go back to our starting grid, we have majority of the second focal plane scopes in starting positions 1, 2, and 3 on the grid, if this would be a car race. So they are also very expensive and second focal plane. It is very difficult to find below $1,500 a very high quality glass in the first focal plane. While many of the ones below are also very good glass, they are not the top end of the glass. So just a note that if you want a first focal plane in these brands, you usually have to go above $2,000 or around $2,000. The next second focal plane I have is on a Vortex 2.5 by 10 below in a $750 category. The rest are first focal plane and 3 of them are straight 10x. So in this case there is no first or second focal plane, there is only one focal plane, so it doesn't this discussion doesn't apply to those because they are good. The reticle is true at that one magnification. As far as the reticle design, many of the manufacturers are offering a variety of reticles for each scope. I have highlighted some that are mill-dot reticles, some that are tactical in the sense that they have some sort of hash marks or more of an enhanced mill-based reticle. And then I also gave some extra value to those that have Horus-like or Christmas tree-like reticle. In this case, the Bushnells and the Vortex 6-24 I picked. Leupold, I mentioned I gave them a yellow because I would have liked to find a Christmas tree reticle for this high magnification because I like to use that for spotting and spotting shots and applying correction, and it is very helpful to have a Christmas tree-like reticle for that purpose. As far as illumination, about 2/3 of the scopes picked here, the models I picked, do provide illumination. Nightforce, the SHV 4-14 by 50 provides only the center dot illuminated. The other ones I highlighted here provide the entire reticle with illumination. And actually one of the best features that just came out is on the new Sig Sauers, both the Tango 4 and the Tango 6, that has a motion-based reticle, which means that you can leave your reticle illuminated, put the scope aside with the rifle, and then it's gonna save your battery by turning off automatically, and at the slightest movement the reticle comes back on. So it's a great feature to save your battery life. Also, it's a matter of debate if you need an illuminating reticle or not. I'm not gonna go into that, but the models that I picked, you can see which one has it, which one doesn't, and some of them do offer a similar scope with illuminated reticle if you are interested in that. Let's go back to our starting grid. The next area that we need to consider are the turrets. What is the quality of the turrets, how many mils per turn, what kind of elevation, zero stop, locking, features do they offer. Next, we are going to look at windage, if they have proper left or right numbers, and if they have a locking feature. And then we are going to look at the parallax, if they are offering a parallax adjustment and what distance, if the distances are marked on the parallax adjustment. So starting with the turrets, majority of them offer 5 mils per turn. However, some of them offer 10 or 8 or 9 even. So if you are looking for a scope that offers more than 5, you should look at the IOR, some Bushnell's, US Optics, or Sig Sauer Tango 6. I also gave extra green for the feel of the turrets, the Nightforces and the Leupolds, because I believe that they offer some of the nicest combination of firmness, audibility, and visual markings, so that you know actually where you are on which turn or on which come up, so to speak. The other element you should consider is the elevation. So how many mils of travel in total the scope has. I have to say I was very surprised, but the crown on this category went to the Sig Sauer Tango 4, 3 to 12 by 42, which offers 40 mils of elevation. This is a lot. Just keep in mind that actually you are able to use only half of that, because if you zero the scope with a straight base, if you use the scope with a canted base like a 20 MOA or 5.5 mils, then you will get more than half of the actual value. Also, it's better to have higher elevation adjustment, because this means that you will stay mostly in the center of the reticle, and if the glass is not of the best quality, then you can have some distortion at the edges. So in this category, more is better. The very good ones are the SWFAs with 36 mils. And then I basically ranked anything above, in the upper half above 22, 24, I ranked green in this category, with some that are fairly on the low side in the 19 to 20. However, as I mentioned before, if you use a canted base, this will probably be sufficient to get you up to 1,000 yards on most cartridges. Another good feature to have, it's a zero stop. Most of them are offering zero stop, a few don't. SWFAs do not. There are ways to work around that, to have some sort of silicone or plastic washers that are installed in the turret if you really want to do it that way. The US Optics has a very ingenious system called the RX system, which serves in the end as a zero stop. And actually I gave Leupold a red in this category, because in my mind, in this day and age, it's kind of unacceptable that a $1,500 scope does not have a zero stop feature. So Leupold, if you are listening, please get on it and give us a zero stop feature. Another nice feature to have is a locking feature for the elevation. So once you dial your desired range or come up, it's sometimes nice to be able to lock it if you move from one position to the other, or even if you want to make sure that the scope is always on zero, it's nice to have a locking feature for the elevation turret. So the only two that offer this feature, from what I could tell, are the Sig Sauers and the Weaver 3-15. On the windage side, the number of mils is less important. If you think about it, you will probably have almost the same amount of elevation, like on the same amount of adjustment like on the elevation for the windage. But in the end, for windage, you don't need that much. I mean, if you probably have to dial at 10 mils of wind, I'm not really sure you're gonna hit any target. So usually the windage is sufficient no matter what scope. What I gave some extra bonus points or green is if the scope has proper left or right numbers or indicators. So you know if you went left or right. There are only 3 of them that do not on this list. The Weaver 3-15, the Bushnell 6-24, and then the Nightforce SHV. And I really don't know why manufacturers don't do this properly. So it seems like a bit of a old school anachronistic way to do a windage turret without properly highlighting left and right turns. Another good feature to have is the windage lock. Many people like to dial the elevation and hold for wind, so they don't want the windage turret to move. So I gave some points, some bonus points for the locking feature as well, or if there are cap turrets for windage. However, I didn't want to give twice the points for numbers and windage lock. So Sig Sauer, yes, on both categories, but they got only 1 extra bonus point for windage. I don't think that this feature is that important to warrant 2 extra bonus points. Finally, the parallax. It's something we should take a look at. And what I like to have is distance markings on the parallax adjustment button. They are not precise, but in the end they put you in the right ballpark. There are some that do not offer numbers, so some people prefer that, so it's only a set of points, because they say, well, I have to focus on the target anyway, so it doesn't matter what this marking says. I like to have a bit of an orientation of where I am with the parallax setting. The 2 notable differences in this list of 20 scopes are the Vortex PST 2.5 to 10 and the IOR Valdada 10x56. They actually do not have a parallax adjustment, so they have a fixed parallax. The Viper, I think it's set at 100 yards, and then the IORs, I think it's set around 200 yards, but I couldn't verify this myself. So just keep in mind there is fixed parallax. The parallax matters usually inside 500 yards, and if you are trying to make super precise shots. Once you go past 500 yards, it's not really an issue, or it is an issue, but it's much smaller. So if you need to do super precise shots inside 500 yards, then you might want to pick a scope with a parallax adjustment. If we look at some of the more controversial items right now, we are going to look at the street price, glass quality, durability, warranty, and then I compiled the total of the green score, red scores, and then red scores are negative, total scores, and then I created a price per point, taking the street price and divided by the total score. This is just to give you an idea of what scopes provide a lot of value, meaning higher feature than average in this category, and which ones are more expensive, and in the end it's up to you how much money you want or you can spend on a scope. The total cost of this review, it's about $22,000. I have either shot or had or looked at directly at almost everyone on this list. So many of the observations come from direct experience, but also I have taken into account the collective knowledge that is out there. So if we go on the street price, if we go back to our starting grid, we have the IORs, the 4 to 14 by 50, just under $1,500. There is an issue with the Sig Sauer Tango 6 3 to 18. The prices are varying wildly between $950 and $1,500. So I don't know what happened with the Sig Sauer pricing, but when they came out a couple of months ago, we are now in November 2016, they had some very reasonable prices, and then after just a couple of weeks they skyrocketed. So because I think now it's easier to find it around $1,500, I put it in this category. I was able to snag one at $950. So while it is in this category, I got a great deal on it, I believe. Next one is the Nightforce, the NXS. I think around $1,850 is the lowest you can get it. You can probably find the used one lower than that. Next we have the Leupolds, around $1,350. The Nightforce SHV 1250, the Sig Sauer Tango 6 3 to 18 by 44 1150. Again, the prices on Sig Sauer, I think you can find this one for $1,700 now. So if you can get one at this price, it's a great find, but I think they are closer to $1,500 right now. Next we have some around 1,000, the Bushnells, the Sig Sauer, and the Vortex 4 to 16. Moving to the 750 category, we have some more, one more Sig Sauer, the Weaver. Weaver is also more expensive than that. I got a great deal on it. SWFA 700 and the Vortex is 550 and 750 respectively. The US Optics Trade 10, you find just under $1,500. Every once in a while they go on sale, but this is the price I was able to find it at. The IOR Valdada 10X is kind of hard to find. When it's available, it's around $850. A great scope is the Straight 10 from SWFA at $300. And then in the high magnification category 6 to 24, I was able to find the Vortex and the Bushnell around 1,000, and then a Leupold 6.5 to 20 by 50, that's roughly $1,500. So this is just an idea. These are prices, street prices, end of 2016. Your mileage may vary. If we look at the glass quality, I gave some extra points to the IORs, Nightforce, and US Optics. I believe they offer some of the best glass on the market. In the end, this is something subjective, so it's up to you. Don't take my word for it. Look through the scopes and make up your own determination. Based on the specs published and also my direct experience, I think that the Leupolds, the Sig Sauers, and this lower cost Nightforce are also offering very good glass. And B, I call B category, all the other ones, in the end it's still very good glass for most applications, but it doesn't reach the level of the other ones. So please don't get offended if your favorite scope got a B in this category. If you like it and it works for you, that's great. So go for it. As far as durability, I have also given an extra point, an A, to the ones that have a consistent good track record. The Leupolds, Nightforce, IORs, US Optics, and SWFA Straight 10. Everybody else got a B, which is still a very good grade, but the Sig Sauers are too new to have a consistent track record, and then many of the other ones are not in the same category of durability as the ones above. However, if your application does not call for the best durability under the most stressful circumstances, any of them will probably do a good job for most normal applications outside of conflict zones. Another point you should keep in mind is the warranty, just in case you decide to sell the scope. Many of them offer a lifetime transmittable warranty, and with a few exceptions. The two exceptions are Weaver and US Optics. So in this particular case, if you buy a scope and you sell it, the second owner may not enjoy the lifetime warranty that you did. It may not be an issue, but it's still something to keep in mind because it might affect the resale value of your scope. I have highlighted in green Vortex. I gave them an extra point because they have a very good reputation of no questions asked warranty. Again, hopefully you don't have to use it, but if you have to use it, they really go above and beyond to make their customers happy. And then Bushnell just jumped into this game recently, I think as of January 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So great job, Bushnell, welcome to the club. And then finally I gave a yellow mark to the IORs Valdada, which have a lifetime transferable warranty, but the warranty work is done in Europe, so if you ever have to send it in, it's gonna take a while to get it back. As a note of nostalgia, I actually happened to grow up right next to the IOR factory in Bucharest, so this is one brand that I have an emotional attachment to. And the other one, it's actually Leupold, because I happen to live in Portland, Oregon these days for the last 15 years or so. And this is where the Leupold factory and headquarters is. If we look at the green scores and we add up all the green scores from all the scopes, the IORs and US Optics offer the best number of features that we marked green. Again, the glass got double green points, and then within all the other features they offer the most value above average in this list of 20 scopes, followed by the Nightforce, and then also I have to say the Sig Sauer Tango 6 are also offering a great deal of features that are desirable in this category of tactical scopes. The other scopes, also the Vortex, the 2.5 by 10, also managed to score a lot of points. The other ones had 5 or 6 or 7, and there are only a few that scored only 3 or 4, which doesn't mean they are bad scopes. It just means that based on different criteria, there are other scopes that offer better performance in this collection of 20 scopes. If we look at the red, we have US Optics on one hand offer the most greens, but on the other hand they had also 4 reds. For example, the non-transferable warranty is where they got dinged, and if you remember along the way they had a few other minuses. They are also very heavy, for example. The IORs got a couple of dings. If a scope is in the second focal plane, I deducted 1 point in this list, because while I believe they have a place, I think the first focal plane offers more versatility. And also, if a scope is a straight 10 in this list, also got dinged once, because again, a variable scope offers more versatility than a fixed scope. If we look now at the total score, once you put the pluses and minuses, and assuming you care about all of them the same, you can see that the 4 highest scopes are the 2 IORs, the Sig Sauer Tango 6, and then the Vortex 6 to 24 by 50. They offer the total net number of points with a good selection of 6, 5, and 4 below. And then actually the only one that scored only 3 points was the Sig Sauer Tango 4, 4 to 16 by 44. Which just means that the Tango 4, 4 to 16 by 44 offers a very good but average in the end performance in this list. If we look now at the value for money and we sort by the price per point, so I took the street price and divided by the total score. So in this case, the best value by far is the SWFA straight 10. They also offer a straight 12 if you are interested in that, and I think also a straight 16. The next one that scored a lot of points with a great value is the Viper PST 2.5 to 10 by 44 in second focal plane. And then the next group, still above the 100 per point in this math, is the IOR 10 by 56, 2 more Vortex scopes, and then the 3 Sig Sauer scopes. This assumes that you can find them at these street prices, which may or may not be the case. Again, there was some funky stuff going on with their pricing out of the gate. The rest of the scopes are good or average value, and if you go to the more expensive ones, the Leupold 6.5 to 20 by 50, it's getting in the $250 per point. The Sig Sauer Tango 4 to 16, and then also the Nightforce NXS. It's the most expensive on the bunch. Again, it's even more than $1,500, but I wanted to have 2 Nightforces on the list. Why are we doing all this? There are several rifles that we want to upfit with these scopes. 22 long rifle trainers, 18-inch SPR in 2-3, a 20-inch SPR 2-3, 308 18-inch SPR, 308 20-inch bolt action, a 338 Lapua Magnum 26-inch 110 FCP bolt action, 50 BMG, 6.5 Creedmoor, and then we wanted to have one scope for spotting. We also group them by league, so if we group them by league and the rank inside the league, we are now looking at more of my list and the preference. So please, if your scope is lower on the list, don't be offended. I'm just saying how I see the things, what are the scopes I like, and then maybe in the future I will post side-by-side comparisons. But if we go now on the league of less than 12 power, the number one scope in my book is the US Optics Straight 10. It offers best glass, best durability. If a straight 10 power is something you are looking for, and if you can afford $1,500, this is the one to get. In the second place, again with the top end less than 12x, is the Sig Sauer Tango 4 3-12. This is a great scope, versatile, fairly compact, with great features, very modern scope. Number 3 place, if you want a 10 straight 10 scope and you can afford roughly $800 to $1,000, the IOR 10X is the next choice. Number 4 in this category for me is the Viper PST 2.5 by 10. Great second focal plane, great trainer scope. Number 5, if you are really on a budget, the SWFA straight 10, it's an absolute best value on this whole list. And number 6, the Vortex Viper PST 2.5 by 10. So these are the scopes in the order of my preference on this list. If we go now at a higher power league, above 12 on the top end and around or less than 18, the number one scope in my book is the Leupold Mark 4 ERT 4.5 to 14 by 50. My second favorite is the IOR 4 to 14 by 50 in a second focal plane. The Sig Sauer Tango 6 comes in at number 3. Number 4 is the Nightforce Weaver number 5. The Sig Sauer Tango 4 it's position 6, followed by the Bushnell SWFA, the Sig Sauer Tango 6, and the NXS, and finally the Vortex 4 to 16 by 50. If we go to the top end of magnification, in my book, out of this list, the Vortex PST 6 to 24 is number 1, the Leupold it's number 2, and the Bushnell is number 3. So how did we come up with all this? It was a process of elimination and comparison. This is the overall list of how these 20 scopes rank in my book. In the first round, I selected the 16 out of the 20. Actually, it's now 15. I eliminated 5 scopes. In the end, the comparison was done by starting grid. So if you look in the first 3 categories, I had to pick a winner, a loser that moved forward, and then I had to say goodbye to 1 scope. So in this particular case, the winner was the IOR. In my book was better than the Sig Sauer, and then the NXS had to go. In the next category, these scopes are the core of what I was looking for, so all of them moved to the next level. So basically, in the next category, I did a comparison among all these scopes, and I selected some winners, some losers, and then I said goodbye in the first step to some of them. In the second round, I further compared and contrasted all these scopes, and I had to say goodbye to 5 more. So in this case, we narrowed it down to the top 10. You can also see in the third column that there is a certain logic to the order of the scope. So if you want to compare a Sig Sauer Tango 4 with the Bushnell, I thought the Sig Sauer Tango 4 offered more than the Bushnell, so hence the final order between place 11 and 12. So then the top 10 battled against each other, and 5 of them moved forward and 5 of them lost. And then in the end, in the final, I had to think very hard and then pick the ones that I wanted to keep and for which rifle. And this is how I decided in the end who are the winners. So if I were to have only 1 scope on this list, I would basically go to the Leupold Mark 4, 4.5 to 14. The second favorite one is the US Optics, the third is the IOR, fourth is the Nightforce, 5 and 6 are the 2 Sig Sauers, 7 and 8 are the Vipers, PSTs from Vortex, and then 9 and 10 is the IOR 10X and the Weaver. So again, this is my personal preference, and these are the rifles that I'm gonna put them on, or I had them on, or I have them on in some cases. So the Leupold is gonna go on my 308 18-inch SPR semi-automatic. US Optics is gonna sit on top of the 6.5 Creedmoor, the IOR and the 338. The Nightforce, very elegant scope, is gonna go on top of my 20-inch 308 bolt action, or like a hunting rifle. The Sig Sauers will go hand in hand with the 223 SPRs. The Vortex 2.5x10 will sit on a 22 long-range trainer for friends or smaller kids. The 6-24 will serve as a spotting rifle. And then finally the 10X IOR will go on a Future 50 BMG, which I currently do not have. I also had a little bit of fun and tried to think if these scopes would be cars, what type of brand would they be. I also thought in the beginning that I should do this review without showing any type of brand and only focus on the features and the magnification, but in the end I thought you guys may not like that, so I still kept this in here. I think the Leupolds are like an Audi. The 4.5 to 14 was the overall winner, first focal plane, but expensive. And then the 6.5 to 20, it's a still great long range, but also expensive. The US Optics as performance, I compare it with a BMW. I think the SWFA as far as value and reliability, it's like a Honda. The IORs from Eastern Europe are like a Hummer. They are very rugged, kind of go to war ready. The Bushnells are like a Jeep. They are great for outdoor, you can take them hunting. The Nightforce I compare to a Mercedes, it's elegant performance. The Weaver is like a Subaru, it's great performance, great off-road capabilities. The Sig Sauers I compare with a Tesla, they are a newcomer, they have a lot of technology. Time will tell if they will be very successful, but so far they look very promising. And then the Vortex I compare with a Toyota, they offer a lot of features, a lot of value, and they have good reliability. So for what it's worth, this is my take on scope brands compared with car brands. Again, these are all my opinions. Any of the scopes is a great scope. There is absolutely no bad scope on this list. In the end, it's a matter of what are you looking for, how much money are you willing to spend, and what type of features are more important to you. I hope you enjoyed this overview. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And as always, please stay safe, and we'll see you next time.